Welcome to another deep dive. You know how this works. You pick the topic, and we dig in. Today, it's all about this Reddit thread that asks, why do some very poor people have kids?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. But there's so much to unpack here. Personal stories, economic theories. It's fascinating how many different viewpoints people have on this.
Yeah. It really shows how, personal choices and bigger societal forces kind of collide. Yeah.
Totally. Even the most upvoted comment, jumps right into it. It says, sex is free and birth control isn't.
Right. And that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, that brings up accessibility right away.
Right.
Not everyone can just afford birth control or even knows where to get it.
Exactly. The cost can be, all over the place. It really depends on where you live.
And then there's sex education.
Yeah.
If all you're getting is abstinence only.
Yeah, studies show that's not very effective compared to, comprehensive sex ed that talks about contraception and all that.
Right. It's like setting people up to fail almost.
Kinda, yeah.
And there's the whole stigma thing, too. Like with condoms, I saw this comment from a teenager who was saying they'd rather risk getting pregnant than, be seen buying condoms.
It's sad, right? How much societal pressure can affect decisions like that.
It really is.
Yeah.
And even if everyone did use condoms perfectly, there's still that small failure rate.
Which, on a population level, means a lot of unplanned pregnancies.
Exactly. And then that brings up another whole layer, abortion access, which is, we all know how complex that is.
Especially in places where it's restricted yeah.
I did see some dark humor in the thread, too, though. Someone said, any teenager who hates condoms is destined to be a parent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But jokes aside, it does make you think about how so much is out of our control, even when it seems like it's a personal choice.
It's like layers of an onion. You peel one back and there's always another one.
That's a good way to put it. And speaking of layers, one thing that really made me think was the whole idea of kids being assets in poorer communities.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in some situations, kids can help out with income or just daily tasks.
It goes deeper than that, though. Think about places without a strong social safety net. Children can become the caregivers for their aging parents, like their retirement plan almost.
Huh. Yeah, I guess in some ways. That's kind of how some people even in developed countries see their kids, like a form of social security.
Right. It's not always conscious, but it's there.
It shows how different our ideas of family are, depending on, our culture and all that.
For sure. Our economic realities, too.
Totally. Oh, and another comment mentioned opportunity cost.
Okay.
This person was arguing that if you don't have many opportunities to begin with, having kids might not feel like a huge sacrifice compared to, someone with bigger aspirations.
That's an interesting point. And I think we have to remember the very real costs of raising a child, especially in poverty. The financial burden is huge.
Not to mention the emotional strain.
Exactly. And the societal stigma. That can be so hard to overcome.
And, I mean, all of that can just keep getting passed down, making it even harder to break out of the cycle.
Yeah, it really is. It's a tangled web, this whole issue. Lots of things to consider. But, even with all this, the economics, the pressure, all that, you can't forget about people just wanting a family.
Yeah. That came up a lot in the thread. No matter how much money you have, that pull is still there.
It is.
There was this one comment that really, I don't know, it stuck with me. It was from someone who grew up poor, but they said they had a really happy childhood, full of love. And they said they'd rather, be poor and have a loving family than be poor and alone.
It's powerful, right? It makes you think about what really matters. Money isn't everything.
Yeah. Love and connection and belonging, those are huge, especially when things are tough.
For sure.
It's easy to, romanticize poverty, though, right? Those heartwarming stories, they don't always show the whole picture.
No, they don't. And we can't forget about the systemic issues, the things that really keep people trapped.
Yeah, like not having good sex ed.
Or access to affordable housing. Or healthcare.
Then it's just harder and harder to break the cycle.
Exactly. It's like a trap almost.
There were some comments in the thread about that, about how the system actually benefits from people being born into poverty. Because then there's always, a supply of cheap labor.
It's a cynical way to look at it, but it's not totally wrong.
Right. Makes you think about who benefits from things staying the same.
It does. And then there was that other type of poverty people talked about.
Oh, yeah. Emotional poverty.
Just because you have money doesn't mean, you're a good parent.
Right. Plenty wealthy people neglect their kids' emotional needs.
Absolutely. So it makes you wonder, what does a good life really even look like? is it just about money?
I think it goes back to that comment
Hmm.
about choosing love and family, even if it means, struggling financially.
Yeah, it's complicated. No easy answers.
Definitely not.
So,
I guess the takeaway here is that there's no one reason why people in poverty have kids.
right. It's a mix of things. Choices, culture, the system, all tangled up together.
It's about looking at each person's situation
Yeah.
and, having some empathy.
Instead of judging.
Exactly. Like maybe the question shouldn't be why,
Yeah.
but how? Like how can we make things better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can we create a society where everyone has a chance to thrive no matter what their circumstances are?
Now that's something to think about. And I think that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Totally.
Challenging our assumptions.
Yeah.
Making us think harder.
And sometimes leaving us with more questions than answers.
That's true. This one definitely did that. And it reminds me, yeah, we should keep talking about this stuff with people who are, open-minded.
Like our viewers on YouTube, Shauna Pelage.
Oh, right. If you're enjoying this, definitely check out the channel. We go even deeper into all sorts of stuff over there.
We do.
And, of course, make sure you're subscribed to Voices of the Soul so you don't miss, any of this. We've got some good stuff coming up.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, you start with this one question on Reddit, and it just
It goes everywhere.
It really does. But I think one thing's for sure, there's no easy answer when it comes to, poverty and family.
Nope, not at all.
Like, it's so easy to just jump to conclusions.
Uh-huh. But that's never the whole story.
And I think this deep dive really showed that.
Yeah. Lots to think about.
So maybe, instead of asking why, we should be asking,
How?
exactly, how can we make things better? How can we, I don't know, build a world where having kids isn't such a loaded decision?
Especially for people struggling financially.
Yeah. Like, what needs to change? Is it access to healthcare,
Yeah.
education, affordable housing?
All of the above, probably.
It's about, like, looking at the bigger picture.
And realizing that it's not just about individual choices.
Right, it's the system, too. All these things are connected.
They are. And it's, it's hopeful in a way.
Hopeful.
Well, yeah. Because if we know what the problems are,
Yeah.
then we can start fixing them.
Yeah.
We can try to build a better world. A world where, imagine it. Every kid has a chance. No matter, what their background is.
That's the dream, right?
It is. And these conversations, even though they're tough, they're important.
Absolutely. The more we talk about this stuff, the more aware people become. And then, hopefully.
Things start to change.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's it for this deep dive. But the conversation doesn't have to end here.
It doesn't. Keep thinking about this. Talk to people.
Yeah. And if you want to, I don't know, keep exploring these ideas. Make sure you subscribe to Voices of the Soul.
We'll be back with more deep dives soon.
We will. And in the meantime, check out our YouTube channel, Shauna Pelage.
It's the perfect place to go even deeper.
It is. So until next time,
Stay curious.
and keep those minds open.